Well, good evening and welcome. It's the Jamaica Mix. And this evening, we want to pick up on a topic. It's the political season is upon us. And so it would appear that nothing is sacred in terms of discussion. But today, we're going to take a look at a couple of topics we've been monitoring. First off, we want to look at, the crime statistics that has been the crime numbers trending in a positive direction. We're going to talk about that. We're going to take a look at, some of the current police activities. Police get a bad name. Sometimes they deserve it. Sometimes they don't. But that's how life works. And especially as we head into this political season, what I call it political silly season, we want to, just take some time to try and focus on the issues rather than get hung up on the cobwebs. Want to use the opportunity as well to just big up, send a big shout out, a big up shout out to Usain Bolt. Lost his father. There was the burial took place over the past weekend, and of course, Leslie Bolt was his name, Usain's father, and the funeral taking place over there in Trelawney in Jamaica. Of course, like everything else, that to get a little taste of the politics, as all of the critics, the political critics, jump out. Prime Minister, one thing you have to give Andrew Holness the props for, if anything else. Him understand a big occasion and how to tweak it for himself. And of course, his attendance at the Bolt funeral has been a talking point, depending on which side you depend. That essentially what some man says that him crashed the funeral. And kind of never depend the program and all of that. The reality though is that nobody no need no invitation for go to a funeral. No matter what anybody want to tell you. A funeral is a very, very, deep event in the life of any family. And if you are familiar with the family, unless them basically tell you that them have a private funeral, which means that just two man and a dog them invite them make preparations for. In general, a funeral is is open to the public, meaning if you are familiar with the deceased or the deceased's family, it is not unusual for somebody to go and pay them respects. No matter whether you are the Prime Minister, whether you are the Pope, the President of America, whatever it is. That are just our funeral, the protocol with funeral. I don't care where anybody, people are trying to tell you, oh, the Prime Minister, this stuff. But me personally, crap. Prime Minister turn up, whether I'm on the program, yeah or nay, he is the Prime Minister of the country. Usain Bolt is a significant individual in the Jamaican social and sporting sphere and global sphere. And so you want to make sure, according to the PM's handlers, he was away. He went to get his doctorate proclamation, and I think he had a 5K in a Montego Bay that he had committed to. I can't remember, funeral not really planned. A man dead, and within 30 days you put him under. So if for those who are attending, if you have other events that were set up from before, you have to find a way to tweak your calendar, or you just not turn up. Some of the critics made pointers that the opposition leader never turned up neither. Again, crap. There were two funerals, I understand. There was another funeral that the opposition leader attended, which was one of his the members of the party who had died, and of course they had the party had its representatives over there in Trelawney. So the two political gang them was well represented. Again, we kind of make much out of nothing at all. Just thought I would throw that in. But you know, whether you have a PNP or a JLP, my view is you have to respect the position of the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition as well, for that matter. These are two people who make a decision for, you know, go take licks on behalf of the members of the public, and when things now go right, them get some bitch lick, and when it go right, them still get some bitch lick. Anyway, but that's how politics go. And just wanna again just big up Usain. He took the microphone, not the biggest of speakers, but he articulated the role his father played in his life. And you know, you listen to Usain, you get a taste of the little country boy where his father have a little shop, and you know, his father was like my old man. Him clearly never spared the rod. You know, Usain talk about that. But just listening to him as he expressed the impact of his old man, you know, and his life, and the kind of takeaways that it has given him, as far as, you know, his own assessing his own family, you know, as he prepares for the, you know, his kids now who are growing up. It was really nice to hear, to see a man who have the kind of presence, the kind of personal and global presence that Usain have, and to hear him, you know, return to his roots in terms of his conversation. It was really nice to hear. Prime Minister, I don't know if I'm out slip, but make the argument, make the talk, say Usain is a national hero. And of course, Jamaica people literally want to nail him to the cross for making that kind of comment. Because if you make both national hero, what you do with Marley and Miss Lou and, you know, multiple others. But again, we're into the political season. Although no race not announced yet, the start of the race. But we know constitutionally, an election is due in September. That is the way how the thing work. And so, you know, I see where the PNP has sued the Montego Bay municipal corporation for, as they said, you know, illegally taking down them campaign signs. And the Montego Bay corporation, it would appear, is relying on an argument that really doesn't make no sense, that them now have no authority to put up no sign. The rules of the game speaks to that. And so once you know that an election is due in September, it means that it's open season in terms of political campaigning. Also, you know, I was in Jamaica the other day. When you go to certain places in the city, you see the green flag them and the orange flag them wrap around the light posts, which demarcate each political area, and so on. So, you know, we make much ado out of nothing. I think we just need to get back to some, you know, practicality and reasoning, so that we know trend. I mean, I come from a time when the crime thing in Jamaica significant, the politics, criminality, and we jump on it and call it political violence, which was another way to try and tamp down what was really, you know, a opening of the door to the decimation of our population. And you know, we don't want to go back down to that road. So, you know, it's my thing to all of the two sides, to the leadership, you know, put on a bridle upon your dog then. You know, put on a leash rather upon your dog then. You know, pull them back. Let's have political discussions. Let's discuss the politics on the basis of, you know, pragmatic, practical discussions. issues, right? The roles that each side is required to play, and we contest on the basis for that. Jamaica need that. The other topic I want to take on, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time this evening on this thing, but the other topic most definitely is the last week we spent a fair amount of time talking about the police killings, and so we want to take a look at that. We want to take a look at where we are in terms of our crime problem in Jamaica. Just want to again use the opportunity to just bring to your attention. This is my latest publication, Sheila 2.0 Unbroken. Let me just put the cover up here. That's it. Just released, and feel free to reach out if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube. Just send me a text message. Nice little story that we hot off the press. We're gonna do an official launch of this book next month, on the 12th of next month, at the Island Space Museum. But this is the story of Sheila Salmon. It is actually a part 2 or a sequel to an earlier work that was published some years ago called Sheila, the Girl from the Lane. And this is now Sheila having grown up. And just to share with you, it says Sheila Salmon is no longer just a girl from the lane. She's a woman on a mission, and in this gripping sequel to Sheila, the Girl from the Lane, Sheila rises from the ashes of betrayal and injustice, transformed by hardships and fueled by a newfound resolve. With a wrongful dismissal behind her and a hard-won settlement in hand, she sets out to claim the future she was once denied. Set against the rich cultural tapestry and political turbulence of Jamaica in the late 1980s and 1990s, Unbroken charts Sheila's bold transformation from a wounded soul to a formidable force in business and society, as she stakes her claim in Kingston's chaotic markets, the booming tourism corridors of Montego Bay and Negril, and the unforgiving streets of New York City. Sheila must confront not only the risk of entrepreneurship, but also the shadows of her past. And so, really great read, if I might say so. 294 pages and a page turner. This novel only $20 a piece. You can just send me an inbox message. You can also pick this up on Amazon.com, and you can also pick this up as well on our website at yardmedia.com. Just click the shop button and you're there. And that is if you're looking for an autographed copy. Go to our website or just send me a text and I'll guide you in terms of the purchase. We want to sell about 5,000 copies of this book. So guys, we're going to depend on you all. Now, let's come back to our topic at hand. The police issue. Now, last month, we took a look at a troubling, worrying trend, okay? And that trend was the rise in the number of police killings in Jamaica. Of course, the police contend that these killings were the result of the police response to attacks made by armed men on them. But one of the problems that a lot of people have, myself included, with those responses from the police is that there is no no material, no evidence to support that argument. And so it opens the door of our thinking to, are we going back down the road of this police practicing extrajudicial measures, as opposed to trying to bring people in and put them in front of the courts. As of the end of last month, the police had killed some 107 Jamaicans, which was a good 130% increase over the police killing numbers of Jamaicans when compared with the same period last year. Be that as it may, for 2024, the police killed 187 Jamaicans. That's almost 40 more than the typical police decimation numbers for the country. And it really begged the question. Now, let me make this clear. Jamaica have a serious murder problem, and if you were to just look at the period 2011 to 2024, you're talking about a period of some 13 years. In the 13-year period, we would have killed some 17,000 Jamaicans were murdered, which gives you an average of about 1,200 murders per year. So we have a major problem, and this is just looking at the last 13 years. The problem goes back, and even it goes back to some 45 years that we have had this issue where we're killing a lot of Jamaicans. More than 50,000 Jamaicans would have been murdered over that 45-year period. And we're not a country that is at war. So yeah, something has to be done. Now, the police position and the PM basically sanctioned that you know, they are taking on the crime producers in the country. And so to a large extent, these people are the crime producers. They are targeting them and so on. But again, it makes the argument of the extrajudicial. Now, on a typical period, Jamaica is running a murder rate, a murder tally of about 110 to 120 people, you know, eradicated by others on a monthly basis. In April, the reported murders for Jamaica was 48. That is spellbinding. It's the direction that we would have liked to see the thing travel. If the country, and this follows on some numbers that came out in February, which was about the same, 47, 48 murders. So in the space of over a 2-month period, what we have seen is a more than halving of the murder numbers in the country. And it is the direction that we must go. Let's put it that way. Do I believe that the police is involved in some extrajudicial activities? It's a difficult argument to evade, because the activities does support the assumption. But there isn't an outcry coming from the public, and the reason behind that is that Jamaican people are just fed up with where we have literally become comfortable with this runaway murder rate in the country. So for a majority of Jamaicans, and I can't say that I disagree with the argument, right? I'm not embracing it. But if at the end of the day, this brings some normalcy back to the status quo in the country, well, Tell me what you think. What do you guys think? If it brings about a normalcy, listen, every life is important, right? So when criminals out there marauding and, you know, taking the lives of others, Jamaica loses. But we also lose when the police is involved with extrajudicial killing as well. And the reason why I said this is because the practice of taking the life of another human being, regardless of who do it, whether it's police or criminal, once the person gets away with it, right, it is going to become a habit. Sociologists have written and studied the effect of this on individuals and society for decades. We're not alone. And so what we need to do is to bring back a sense of appreciation for the value of human life among the members of our population, right? We also have to take a serious look at why, as a small country, we have this persistent, hardcore, solid killing problem within our society. And we have to look at how do we fix it. Now, let me agree with the police's position for the time being, for the purpose of the conversation, right? That there is a direct correlation, because there is direct correlation between the increased number of persons eradicated by the police and the reduced or reduction in the number of persons whose lives are snuffed out by gunmen. You can't argue against that. The two situations, when you pose them side by side, it is a reasonable argument to make that there is a direct correlation between the decimation of certain individuals by the police and the dramatic reduction in the murder rate. The problem is what is the next step? Because that has to be what I call the short-term approach. So, okay, we know who the violence producers are, we know who the criminals are. The Jamaica police has been beefed up in terms of their ability to address the crime problems within the Jamaican society. So we have that, right? The question is, beef up the Jamaican society in terms of that. What is the long-term, the medium and long-term approaches that the country is going to take to deal with this particular problem? Now, in the Gleaner today, the Prime Minister is he made a pronouncement here. It says, and I'm quoting from the Gleaner, where the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, says Jamaicans can expect a flood of surveillance cameras as the government ramps up its technology-driven approach to crime fighting. He was responding to repeated public questions about the Jamaican Eye program and the failure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to deploy body-worn cameras on planned operation. Holness said that not only are cameras being installed, but the scale and sophistication of the rollout will be unprecedented. And that is good. That's good. But let's go back to the question of the police and body cameras. Now, I don't have no problem the police blow away some man if the man them take them out, right? But what we as a people need to require from our law officers is transparency, right? We need the transparency. We cannot, as a country, um, be eradicating sections of our population and people sit back and as if to say that this is normal. It is not normal. That is not what we should be doing as a civilized society. But again, there are some short-term positions that maybe we have to embrace, which results in this kind of action. But while the PM is talking about bringing out the the technology and so on, it's interesting that we can frolic around the spending of the Jamaican taxpayers' money to put in little exigencies of this nature, but we would never take a look at making a solid investment in the development of our population. Because whether we want to like it or not, people, a lot of the criminal elements, if you will, those who find it normal to wander down the road of criminality, if you look at where they're coming from, what becomes clear is that the system never worked for them. And why am I saying that? I always want to go back to our school system because education is the biggest correcting or divining rod. If we had a more better educated population, we wouldn't have the kind of runaway murder that, again, sociologists, local and otherwise, speaks to that. A person who has the benefit of a good education is less likely to resort to violence in the instance where there is a domestic dispute, or even if it is a case of gang on gang disagreements. People who have the ability to process they're going to be less likely to resort to the destructive force of violence to address their issues. And so when we have our school system which passes only about 28% of the cohort. So there are 167 secondary schools on roll at the Ministry of Education in Jamaica. And of that number, only 28% of these schools, 28%, right? Which pits this number at about 130 schools, right? 130 of these schools are having a situation where more than 70% of the students in those schools who sit the CXC exams don't pass or cannot pass the 5 subjects that they are required. In fact, more than 100 of these schools are reporting passes of between 1 and 2 subjects out of their exam cohort. So what this means is that it is the school system is failing our youngsters because the schools just don't have the resources. In 2019, only 28% of cohort was passing 5 subjects, which include maths and English, while in 2024, this number fell to 10%. So 90% of the schools in Jamaica last year now pass 5 subjects, the students. Now, they on an average, some 35 to 37,000 students graduate from secondary school. That's, high school, if you will, every year. And if only 10% of these numbers, right? 37,000. So we're talking about 3,700. So more than 30,000 of the youth them who have come out of school a year time. Well, certainly last year, don't pass 5 subjects. Don't. The problem that this creates is that in a lot of the instances, these youngsters can't do nothing. They don't qualify for go work. Not even a job them can get. Right? And because we have this low academic outturn, you can't attract no serious, meaningful investors into Jamaica because we have a population that is a dunce. And so, because them dunce, the simplest thing, they can't get a job, can't get no work. So they become fodder for gangs and all kind of nefarious or antisocial activities, right? So this is a problem that is right in front of us. So when the PM talk about we are putting camera, one wonders if we were to, okay, so you murder numbers are go down, etc., etc. Can we do the 2 things at one time? Or when will the government of Jamaica, because it's not a JLP problem, it is a political problem in Jamaica that I have observed for years. So the question it begs is, when will our political masters decide? In the same way we can make these big announcements, oh, we're going to get the police, them all kind of this and that. We're going to provide more cameras, and we're going to fast car, we're going to put drone in the sky and all of that. But when we're going to put some more money in the school system that will change the outcomes, the academic outcomes of not only the schools, but the Jamaican population. Because that is how you address the crime problem, right? If we can cut off the supply of bodies that is available for becoming involved in antisocial behavior and activity, then that's a way that you are now choking off the criminal supply. If at the same time we are getting better academic outcomes, more people are going to be in positions where they can pick up a better job. And so if them can do that, then they have to resort to the criminal activity. Right? So these are some of the things where we think where we're gonna have to pay attention to turn the ball around, right? Because our reality is that this whole state of affairs can't continue. It cannot continue, right? This business where we eliminate sizable chunks of our population. On an average, if you look at the victim reports in terms of these murders and so on, what you will observe is that the median age of these victims is about 25 years old. So what we do is eliminate, a huge chunk of the future of the country. We kill over 50,000 people over the last 45 years. Think about what, some of those youngsters who were victims, could have contributed to the country if we had provided them with different, better outcomes, right? And so these are the kind of discussions that we really need to have as a population, because we cannot continue. At the same time, it is important that we make a bigger and better investment, right? A bigger, better investment in in how we treat with our population. We have to invest more in developing our people. Without us doing that, all we're doing is keeping the door open for the continuation of the this deluge of killing on either side of the equation, right? We want the police to do their job. We want the police to continue to be effective, but we need for the police too to operate within the law, right? It is not sufficient to just you go on an operation where you know two wanted men in a yard and you bullet down the place, and when at the end of the exercise 6-7 people lie down dead and half of them have no relationship to what it is that you went about. My thing is we need to be more, we talk about the technology, the utilization of technology. We need to apply that technology in a way that it gives the results that we're looking for, but at the same time minimizes the risk to people who are unsuspectingly become involved. This casualty of war, if you will, that kind of reasoning cannot be applied here. We have to take a much different approach. Yes, we want this whole murder issue and crime problem to be resolved. We need to find long-term approaches that will not only give you the good numbers now, but will continue. Can you imagine what would happen to Jamaica if we find ourselves in a situation where instead of we have a 1,200 murders a year, that drop down to 200 or 300? People will kill people. You can't change that overnight, right? But then New York City had an issue where they were having 2,800 murders a year. That has dropped now to less than 500 murders per year. So, and these people in New York, them situation is not any that significantly different from ours. It is just a case of the willingness to make the decisions that will give you the results that you're looking for. And I'm just simply saying, while we can force down the murder now, let's force some investment into the school system. So we have teachers who are providing the kind of quality, quality teaching approaches to the students that will transform the results. Again, a better educated society is not one that is going to be prone to resort to violence at a whim. The other reality too is that if once you put those measures into place, we spend a sizable portion of our national budget on security and healthcare, and a big part of healthcare, more than 50% of our healthcare issues is about dealing with trauma. What is trauma? The same shooting and decimation of our population by each other. Domestic violence, those things results in trauma. And so if we are able to change the way how the people who would typically be involved in these situations think. So people subject, you know, disagreements between individuals to a third party, to dialogue. We have less killing, less violence results in less trauma at the hospital. So that our hospital services can now take a look at providing health care for beyond the trauma, where can look at treatable illnesses, hypertension, heart issues, and I could go on. So we can treat with those because your resources are not being pressured for to treat gunshot wounds and machete chop up and all kind of thing. We get to that position by virtue of us educating our population. Tell me what I think, what we're meeting. Is this a realistic position to operate from? Are these pointers that I'm raising worthwhile, meaningful, right? Is this realistic? Because God knows we need to find some solutions, and clearly what we're doing right now, we're getting some results, yes, but is this, while the result is heading in the direction that we want, the approach is certainly not one that we can continue forever. Let me get your feedback in respect to this, no? Get your thoughts as far as the whole direction that we are operating from. I also just want to again use the opportunity to just remind you that my most recent publication is now out, Unbroken Sheila 2.0, and of course this is a good read at 294 pages, and this speaks to Sheila Saman, Unbroken Sheila 2.0. This is a powerful, sweeping saga of grit, reinvention, and the unbreakable spirit of a woman determined to build a legacy on her own terms. It is fast-paced, it is emotionally rich, and unflinchingly honest. This is Sheila's story as you have never seen it before, bolder, wiser, and more relentless than ever. And of course, you can pick up copies of this on our website. Just navigate, if you're on the website yardmedia.com, navigate to the shop, and you can pick up your copy there. Those copies purchased on the website, I am quite prepared to autograph these copies and get them mailed out to you. You can also, if you're on Facebook, just send me a direct message, or you can also pick up this novel on Amazon.com. This is available in paperback. It is also available on Kindle. If you are a Kindle user, it is available on Kindle. Again, let me just thank you for your time and your patience. If you are online with us, again, just reminding you, navigate to the shop on the website and check out Sheila Unbroken. Let me get your feedback though, especially those of you on YouTube, as to your thoughts on the presentation just now. And again, grab your copy of Sheila 2.0 Unbroken, which is now available, and there are multiple purchasing options. You can purchase on the website at yardmedia.com. You can also purchase on Amazon, or you can just send me a text message, a direct message on Facebook, and we will get you reading Sheila's story. That's all we have for this evening. Again, let me thank you for joining us, and join us again next Wednesday when we pick up another topical issue. More time.